Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be a book unhaul. I recently did a video where I cleaned and reorganized my entire book room, and I did manage to take off 35 books from my shelves. I also took a few off of my TBR shelf. I think I did that in another vlog, so I will link that down below as well. So I have a total of 35 books to unhaul today, which I am very, very happy about because I feel like I hold on to books for way too long, especially if I don't like the book or if I don't even remember anything about the book. I don't know why I hold on to it for some reason. I think I just like having a lot of books, but I am running out of room and I'm always buying new books, so I might as well get rid of some. I have 22 read books to unhaul, so I'm going to start with that pile first. For all of the read books that I'm getting rid of, it's just because I don't really care about them, or I read them so long ago I don't remember anything about them, and I know I didn't like them to begin with, so I'm just getting rid of books that I don't like anymore or that I have no interest in reading anymore for my unread books. I have Shadow Rider by Christine Feehan. This is the first book in the Shadow series. I was low-key kind of interested in reading the second book, but I decided I'm not going to bother because I didn't really enjoy this first book. This is like a paranormal crime family romance. It was very interesting and unique, but I just didn't care about it. I actually have another Christine Feehan. This is Dark Prince, which is also the first book in a series. It doesn't say the series name, but this is like another paranormal romance. Again, didn't care for it. Then I have Craving His Best Friend's Ex by Catherine Garbera. This I received from Harlequin. I believe this was an ARC, I think, because there's like a release date on it. I didn't really care for this. I didn't really like it. I probably will just give this to somebody. I'm not going to donate it because I think it's technically an ARC. I'm not exactly sure. I know a lot of people like the Harlequin Desire books, which is like a whole category of romances from Harlequin, I guess. But this is like the only one I've read. Or no, I think I've read a Katie Evans one, and I also didn't really like that one. I think they're just like way too short to have like an actual impact. They need to be longer to actually have an impact for a romance novel, if that makes sense. I'm getting rid of Soulless by Gail Carriger. This I read years and years and years ago, kind of when the series was first popular. I just didn't really like it. I never continued with the series. It was interesting though because it is like a paranormal romance, but it's also like historical, so it was kind of fun, but yeah, I just didn't like it. Then we have 44 Chapters About Four Men by B.B. Easton. I had read this because it was becoming a Netflix TV show called Sex/Life, and I actually never ended up watching the show because I heard some pretty bad things about it, to be honest. I also didn't really like this book, so I might as well just part ways with it. Then I have The Summer After You and Me by Jennifer Salvatore Dokotorsky, I think. This I read years and years and years ago. I think I've genuinely had this since it came out in 2015. I went through a huge YA phase, obviously, and I basically only read YA for a couple of years, and this was a YA contemporary. I don't remember anything about it. I think I gave it 3 stars, so I'm just deciding to part ways with it. I remember not liking this, and that is Rock King by Tara Lee. This, I guess, is the first book in the A Nothing But Trouble series, I guess. I honestly don't even know where I got this. Like, I don't know where I bought this from. I'm assuming I bought it from Indigo, but I really don't know. I don't remember anything about this either. I just know that I think I gave it 2 or 3 stars. I did go through a huge like rock star romance phase at one point, and I think I was just reading a lot of them, and this one definitely did not stand out to me. I think I kind of hated it. I'm never going to reread this, so I might as well just get rid of it. I'm also getting rid of Romancing the Dark in a City of Light by Anne Jacobus. This is another YA contemporary. This also came out around 2015. I remember this being kind of a little bit dark and sad. Romancing the Dark in the City of Light is an unforgettable young adult novel about despair, the power of love, and redemption. Oh yeah, the female character moves to Paris. And there was a love triangle in here. I barely remember anything about this book, but I am getting rid of it. Not the Girl You Marry by Andy J. Christopher. This I remember not really enjoying. I think I gave it 2 stars. This is basically a role swap of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and I just didn't like the characters. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in a wrap up like maybe 3 years ago. This one was definitely a miss for me. I just did not like it. I'm getting rid of Intercepted by Alexa Martin. I didn't really enjoy this book either. Our female character, I think, breaks up with her NFL boyfriend, and then she starts dating a new one, and it causes kind of like a scandal and stuff. I just remember not really liking the characters or the romance, and I definitely think that there are better football romances out there. I'm parting ways with Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I actually did like this one. I read it. I'm pretty sure I gave it like a 4 out of 5 stars, I think. And I did enjoy the show, even though I only watched the first season. I never had an interest in watching the second season. But I'm never going to reread this book. And I don't know, adults fiction has to be like really good for me to want to like keep it and fall in love with it. And even though this was good when I read it, I don't see myself rereading it or like ever recommending it, really. I don't think I've ever really talked about this book ever. Same thing for this next book. That is The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapina. I think I kept this for the longest time because the author is Canadian and I love supporting Canadian authors. And I do remember enjoying this one as well. I think I also did give it 4 stars. But if I'm gonna read like a mystery or a thriller, I need there to be a romance aspect nowadays, and I'm, again, never going to reread this. So I might as well just give it to somebody who's probably going to enjoy it more than I did. Then I have Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McCreight. This is also another situation where I did enjoy this book, but I'm not going to reread it. Like, I feel like mystery thrillers, do we ever reread them? Like, I think I might reread like Gillian Flynn, for example, just because her books are much more than just like a mystery thriller. I feel like they're much deeper than that, but I don't think there's ever like an actual mystery thriller that I feel like I want to reread. I'm getting rid of Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler. This I had for years, and then I finally read it and I didn't like it. I think I gave it 2 stars. It just wasn't my thing. It just follows Tess, who is 22, and she moves to New York and she works at a restaurant, and she is infatuated with this guy that works there and his girlfriend, sort of. I did watch the TV show and I think I liked the TV show more, but I feel like it kind of missed a lot of things from the book. This was just one of those books that kind of went over my head and like I didn't fully read between the lines, if that makes sense. I do love this cover though. I really love this cover. I think the color is so pretty. I'm getting rid of The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. This I've had for years. This was, I feel like, one of the first like mystery books that I had ever read. This was at a time where I would just pick up random books that I would see at grocery stores when I went with my family. I'd go browse in the book section and I would always like buy a book, and I think this was one of them. The female character in here gets abducted by this man that she kind of has like a one-night stand with. I also actually did enjoy this. I think I gave it 4 stars as well. It's just not really my type of book anymore, and I don't, again, think I've ever recommended like any mystery thrillers on my channel unless they're like romance focused. Real Rights by Hannah Kent I'm parting ways with. This I read back when it was also kind of popular. I believe I might have got this on sale as well, but this was quite popular back in the day. I don't really remember anything about it. I don't even remember what I rated it, to be honest. It might have been a 3 or a 4 star. Charged with the brutal murder of 2 men, Agnes has been removed to her homeland's farthest reaches to an isolated farm in northern Iceland to await execution. Honestly, it sometimes kind of amazes me like how much my reading tastes have changed over the years and how much I was definitely influenced by other like booktubers back in the day. But it's crazy to think about my reading tastes and how they've changed, because nowadays I don't think I'd ever pick up something like this. Although like occasionally I do, but it's very rare. I'm getting rid of The Perfectionist by Sarah Shepard. This was a new series that Sarah Shepard was working on back in the day after her Pretty Little Liars series. In my opinion, this wasn't as good as her Pretty Little Liars series because I did read a majority of that series. I no longer own all the books, I only own the first one. But you could tell this one was trying to replicate that success, if that makes sense. Because it follows like a group of girls and they all hate this one guy and they plan his murder. And then he ends up dying in the way that they planned exactly. And so they're suspects now. It was a little fun YA mystery book, but I just never continued the series and I don't know why I still have this, to be honest. I'm getting rid of My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Warga. I think it's Warga. This I remember actually really enjoying. I remember this book being very difficult to read. Like, it's quite heavy. I mean, it deals with death and like suicide. The female character meets a boy on this like suicide website where like you can plan your death together, which is just so heartbreaking to imagine. Yeah, this book was actually really dark for like a YA book now that I'm thinking about it, but sadly I'm just never going to reread it and I might as well make room for other books. I'm also getting rid of The Husband's Secret by Leanne Moriarty. This one I think I also might have given a 4-star. I don't fully remember. This just follows a woman whose husband dies and he has left her letters and it's all very mysterious and dramatic. I don't remember anything about this book, honestly. It never really stuck with me. Then I'm getting rid of Forever With You by Laurelyn Page. I actually have read this book. I love this series very, very much. However, this is a duplicate. This is a second copy that I own. It is like massive compared to the edition that I have. I was looking for the like old covers that didn't have people on them and I thought this one was going to be that, so I had ordered it and then it turned out to be this cover and it didn't match the height of any of the other ones and I don't love this series enough to own 2 copies of it. Like, I don't really see a reason for me to own this copy as well, so I'm gonna get rid of this, but I do love the series. And then the 2 other read books that I have are just very random ones that I'm finally parting ways with, and that is Kardashian Confidential. I had a huge Kardashian phase back in the day when they had their show Keeping Up with the Kardashians, like way back in the day, in the early seasons of the show, and they came out with this book that I guess is about like their life and like beauty tips and just photos and some like information about them when they were younger and stuff. And I've just had this for years and I don't know why I've still had it. I'm going to get rid of this one and then I'm also going to get rid of 17 Ultimate Guide to Style. This I've had also for years. I don't even know when this came out. 2011. I've had this for years as well. I was a huge fashion girly when I was younger. I mean, I still am, but I loved books like this and magazines like this, so I had to have this back in the day, but I haven't even looked at it since 2011. They like referenced a lot of celebrity looks, like Ashley Tisdale. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm gonna get rid of both of these because I don't need them. Now on to my unread books. So these books I just don't really have an interest in reading anymore. I've had them for several years and I'm kind of over it. The first 2 are by the same author. I have The Girl with a Clock for a Heart and The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I'm no longer interested in reading these kinds of mystery thrillers. It's just not my thing anymore, so I'm going to get rid of these and hopefully somebody else will love them. I did kind of keep this one for a very long time because I love the cover. I love the blue and the pink and the white. It was just so pretty, but it's just time to get rid of it. I'm not going to read it. Why do I still own it? I'm getting rid of Ruthless by Lexi Blake. This I have had for years, like years and years and years. This was probably one of like my first book outlet purchases back in the day. I think when I had like one of my first book outlet hauls on my channel, actually. I might have hauled this in there, I think. I have never read this and I don't plan to, so I'm going to get rid of it finally. This is a bit of a newer purchase, but I'm just not really interested. I think I kind of just bought this to buy it really, and that is Pride and Prejudice and Other Flavors by Sonali Dev. I have heard good things about this and about the author and the series, but I am not really into chef and like cooking food type of romances, those don't really interest me. And this follows a chef, I think. I think he's the love interest. I think there might be other books by this author that I'm going to read instead. So I'm going to part ways with this one. I'm officially getting rid of The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. This is the second book in the Bridgerton series. I did read the first book in the series, and I also watched the first season of the show. And honestly, I wasn't really impressed. I didn't really get the hype. I think I did rate the book 4 stars, but I just wasn't really like that into it that I wanted to continue to read about all of the Bridgerton kids. Obviously, I did buy the second book, but I just don't have the energy to continue. Like, I'm just kind of over it. So hopefully I can give this to somebody who loves the series and who would love to have this edition. I'm also going to get rid of A Match Made in Bed by Kathy Maxwell. This I had just bought because it was super cheap, but I am never going to read it because I have so many other historical romances that I'd rather read instead. So I'm just going to pass this one to somebody else. This was an ARC that I received from Entangled, and that is Follow Me Darkly by Helen Hart. This I just don't have an interest in reading anymore. At the time, I was just kind of saying yes to every single ARC that was offered to me just to kind of build a relationship with a publisher, but I have stopped doing that because I don't read ARCs. Like, I just never get around to doing it. I don't have time. If it's not a book I'm into, I'm not going to read it, and I just kind of said yes to have an ARC basically, and I'm just not going to read this. So yeah, it's just like a billionaire erotica romance, and I have to be in a very specific mood to read these kinds of books nowadays, and I'm just not into it. Which is kind of the same thing for the Hacker series by Meredith Wild. I own, I guess, like the first 3 books, I think. Yes. And I've had these forever as well. I bought them at a thrift store because the whole series was there. I was like, well, what if I love the whole series? Like, I might as well just buy all 3 books, but I have never read the series and I'm just not into it. I feel like at some point I was considering unhauling these, and then somebody told me to keep them, but I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to get rid of them. So Hardwired is book 1, and then Hard Pressed is book 2, and book 3 is Hard Line. I don't know if there's more books in this series, but I just own the first 3, I guess. And I believe this is also like an erotica romance and stuff. But I think the male character is like a hacker or something. I don't know. And I don't really care either. I also have another ARC that I will be giving to somebody. I'm not going to give this to a thrift store or anything. And that is The Paid Bridesmaid by Soraya Wilson. This was given to me by Montlake, I believe. Yeah, by Amazon. Oh, a female character is like a bridesmaid for hire. That's fun. And the male character is a high-tech entrepreneur. It just sounds kind of like a basic romance, and I just know I'm not going to get around to reading it. I'm also getting rid of 99 Days by Katie Cotugno. I've had 4 or 5 Katie Cotugno books because I won a HarperCollins giveaway that they had. And I think the only one I'm actually going to read and keep is How to Love. So I'm going to get rid of 99 Days. I've gotten rid of all of her other books already. But yeah, I just don't think I'm going to read this. I've heard some really bad things about this book. I believe it's like a love triangle and stuff. There's definitely so many other YA contemporaries that I would rather read instead. And then finally, the last book that I'm unhauling is War Storm by Victoria Aveyard. This is the 4th and final book in the Red Queen series. I have read this entire series except for the last book. This book came out back in 2018 and I have still not read it, and I don't think I ever will, which is funny because I actually really liked the first 3 books in the series, but I just waited too long to read this, and I just don't really see myself rereading the first 3 books just to finish the series, if that makes sense. So that was it for my book Unhaul. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I'm getting rid of and what you thought of them, or let me know any books that you've gotten rid of recently. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.